Hello, everyone. I really enjoyed the lessons this week about 21st century learning, and I thought I would share three of the things that I thought were most important when it came to 21st century learning. So, the three things that I focused on were the three aspects of 21st century learning is that it should be successful, it is global, and it is learner driven. So starting with successful, when I read the quote by Karen Cantor that success in the 21st century requires knowing how to learn, really struck me as how important that this is. It's not what we learn, it's how to learn. So to be successful as teachers in including 21st century learning into our lessons, Miles and Wilson laid a framework. First thing you have to do is define your goals. How are you going to take whatever lesson it is that you're using and make it 21st century capable for your children? Once you know what you're going to do, then you need to develop it. And to me, this goes back to TPAC, that not every single technology is best for every single learning goal. So you need to learn how to develop and use the tools necessary for the different tasks. Then you have to deliver it. For me, the delivery is the fact that I need to know what I'm talking about and the technology that I'm using before I can deliver it to the students. Then you need to document what you do, what works, what doesn't work. Also, ask your students what helped them learn, what technology did not help them learn. And finally, disseminate that information. Share it with your colleagues. Let them know what works for you and what doesn't work for you. Second, there's this need for a knowledge-based society. We are much greater global society than we have ever been in the past, and it's necessary for us to build this knowledge base. But if we're all countries are learning different ways, then we're going to struggle. So some of the ways that we can increase this across the globe is the integration of technologies into learning. If everyone's using the same technologies, then it's going to help them be able to communicate easier with one another. And that goes back to understanding when and how to use these different technologies. And to me, as a communication researcher, it's how do you create messages using these technologies? And also, how do you receive these messages, which is just as important in our world of fake news? How and what are you sending and what are you receiving? Very important. Oops, sorry. So third, I believe that to me the most important part of the aspects that I've learned is that 21st century learning should be learner driven. Allow students to ask questions. Let them lead the discussions and just be the person who listens and guides information, but let them take the front seat in how they learn. Also, we've got to go beyond standardized tests to measure student success. Again, at the beginning, success was defined by knowledge or how to learn, not memorization. So, not to throw away standardized tests completely, but we need to start thinking what other skills do they need to know. And some of these skills are listed below. Can they plan things? Are they organized? Can they make a plan work? And can they collaborate? All three of these are skills that are not going to come up on standardized tests, but are still very important. And finally, have your students self-evaluate. It isn't all about you. Sometimes it is about what the students themselves need to learn. So some of the experience that I've had is that I, as a learner, kind of struggle with learning new technologies. I get a little afraid and nervous about using new things, but I find that it's important for me to keep up and just do the best I can. And I think students appreciate that. Another thing I do is I learn from my students. I am a professor who does not particularly care to give a lot of exams. In fact, I wouldn't give any if I wasn't required to. I like reflections. I like small group discussions. That helps me learn from them. What are they getting from the material that I'm teaching them? And things that I want to improve, definitely keeping up with technology. So that just means practicing. I need to learn what works, what doesn't work, and that's going to be trial and error. And that's okay, as long as I keep trying. So when and what to use. So going back to TPAC, again, not every technology is the best for every different task. I also need to globalize my teaching. I unfortunately, to this point, had not thought much about it, and almost all of my lessons focus on US issues. So I am going to make a concerted effort to put in new information about the world, because we are a global society and my students should be ready for that. And I want to increase student-led learning. I want to hear from them more. I want them to lead the discussion. I want to hear what they have to say. And I feel like that will just make me a better teacher. So overall, I really enjoyed the lessons from this week, and I hope that these three aspects that I have found to be most interesting will be helpful to you. And we all need to work together to continue our goal of increasing 21st century student education.